So yesterday, so today is Tuesday. We're recording on Tuesday. On Monday, yesterday, we had our first event of the year. We're back seeing players at events here. Our first preseason ID in Aurora at the Sports Dome. So from now on here, the next few months, I think I guess the rest of the year, we're going to have a lot of in-person looks that we're actually going to get to be talking about rather than, digging into the past stuff that we saw. But I don't know if anyone wants to touch on the event just as a whole, but I think we're going to kind of break down some big winners from the event, and you'll also find that in our stats story that comes out, breaking down the data, our quick hits, our spotlight tweets, and then we'll have another data dive story later in the week coming out. So but yeah, I guess today we're just going to be talking through some players. So if anyone wants to touch on the event as a whole, feel free.
I'll let Drew and Hammett touch on it a little bit more if they want to, but I thought Drew said it best this morning on our conference call. It was just nice to see players again. I personally feel like our break between events sometimes flies, and this time I felt like it just dragged. It was like, oh my god, I couldn't remember the last event we had from the fall. So I'm right there with Drew. It was great to see players again. Really looking forward to our preseason events. We got some ideas in the hopper here of some topics we're going to talk about on this podcast. But man, we're going to have a ton of really good players in this state that we're going to see over the next 2 months, whatever it is. And yesterday was definitely not a disappointment in that regard.
No, I'm right there with you. I was after the Bears game, just kind of getting ready for bed, and I was like, man, I got to wake up at 6 in the morning, get ready to drive 45 minutes out to Aurora, and I was like, but wait, I get to go scout players tomorrow, and I got excited, how blessed that we are to be able to be excited about our work like that. I'm that's just something that I take a lot of pride in. But no, I couldn't be more with you. Being able to see players, and I actually felt comfortable. Usually that first one, I'm not used to evaluating an event. Takes me a little bit to get going. The brain's kind of foggy, but I was ready to go, and I felt great, and it gets me super excited for the rest of this winter.
Man, I think you guys are kind of hitting the nail on the head there with all of it, because I feel the same way. The winter, yeah, it's, a time where we have more flexibility than some of the other times of the year, where every weekend we're doing stuff. We're at events, we're at tournaments. But I got into this, whether it was into coaching or into scouting, to be out on the field, to be watching players, and to not be stuck behind a computer and in an office. So 100% was super excited to get back going. And I also think it's important to put out there, there's a reason we don't run events in November and December. Guys should be shutting it down. They shouldn't be showcasing in our minds. If we wanted to, we could continue to run stuff in November, December, all that. But no, shut it down. Let the body recover, get after it in the weight room, and work on perfecting your craft. And then, hey, that's the beauty of then, okay, late January, starting up this event, it's the first event of the year at Aurora, let's see the gains you've made. Who has put on, 15 pounds of quality muscle? Who has been working in the cage? Who's been drilling? Who's been working on their fundamentals defensively? And, it was so nice to see players. It's also so nice to, one of my favorite things is, we'll see guys as freshmen, and then we get to know them so well. We see them multiple times. We get looks at them in the spring. We get looks at them in the summer at tournaments. When you see a guy for the first time that you didn't know about, to me, that's one of the best feelings or things. Now after doing this for so long is continuing to see, okay, this is the next class. This is this is another guy now that he's just emerged as a high follow kid in the class. And I think, starting it off would be Maddox Carson in Geneva, 2029, so he's young, he's a freshman, but he wowed in all aspects. I'll let you guys touch on it. I won't get into the nitty gritty, but it's what it looks like in all areas. The movement patterns, the way he swung the bat in BP, and then watching him defensively behind the plate. He's a catcher. We mentioned Geneva is going to be a team to watch this spring. I know he's a freshman, so who knows when he'll make an impact on varsity, but they already had some pieces we liked. They're going to be a team to follow here, clearly moving forward. But yeah, Maddox Carson jumped off the page at me. Or
Yeah, he
Phorm.
was one of the first ones that hit Drew. And it was like, wow, this is a great way to get this event going. Like a young kid that we didn't know about. He's a 29. Yeah, how you draw it up. The frame's great. Like, really like the swing. It's athletic. It's controlled on the barrel. Like, it's how you draw it up. And yeah, Geneva, I mean, they got some interesting names in that 28-29 group. So they're going to be good for a while in the coming years here.
Yeah, with Carson, like it kind of blew me away the defense that he showed us. Like we have our own internal grading system. I'm not going to get into that necessarily, but like I usually go very. It's hard for me to give out a really high grade for kids that are that young that still have a ton of ways to go with their development. But like how he defended yesterday for a kid going into his freshman year of high school, it was so impressive. Like I came away blown away by it, and I mean his numbers kind of speak for itself. Like he had a 195 to 209 pop, and it's not like his arm was the strongest of the event. That's how good his transfer was. That's how quick he was getting rid of the ball, and he was also accurate. So ton of props to Maddox. Definitely a guy like with these 29s, like one event you're kind of working towards, in our opinion, are those super sophomore games we have coming up this summer. And he's a guy that right at the front of all of our minds, I think, for that event looking ahead.
Yeah, he's going to be, immediately inserted on like our ranking sheet. We'll try to slot him, best we can just off of one look. But the beauty of it will be like, now we need to get in-game looks on Maddox. See how it plays, but by all, indications, it's going to be really good in game. Just given like the actions he had behind the plate receiving, even in pop times, like the way his hands work. You mentioned the release and the exchange, but like I absolutely loved the arm action and the way he was getting on top of the ball. And he was, for a 29, I don't see this very often at all. There is almost always, no matter how strong their arm is, like there's always a hump in the throw for a catcher, and like as there should be. Like they're young, they're not physically maxed out yet, they're nowhere near where they're going to be, but he was getting on top of the baseball and driving it down on a down angle. And those catchers that have legit arms that can stay behind the plate, that their arm's going to be a plus tool for them and an asset, like that's how it looks, and it played super true. So regardless of the pop time, all the velo, all that, the action and the way that it played tells me this is going to get really, really good someday. When he gets stronger, when he physically matures, that arm's only going to tick up, and it's going to be, I'd venture to guess by the time that guy's a senior, he's going to be one of the better defenders behind the plate in the class if he keeps on this trajectory. So that was a great look at, a young prospect from Geneva. And I think, Gavin, you might have seen somebody else from Geneva as well.
Yeah, 2028 right-handed pitcher Nick Lozano. Athletic frame, 6 foot, 165 pounds. And he just moved really well. It was athletic, it's loose, and he's already up to 85. When you see a guy that moves that well, that's that loose, that has that quick of an arm at that age, it's easy to project and be like, hey, in 3 years when he's a senior, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy is upper eights, maybe touching 9. And then he also threw a really good breaking ball. He's throwing a slider and a curveball, both moving really well, very slurve-like actions. But then to top it off, I was looking at his Twitter today. He has listed that he's a QB1 at Geneva. I'm assuming that's probably JV. If that's wrong, I apologize. But that is just a multi-sport guy that's a QB that's that athletic is always a plus.
Yeah, I'd love to stay on the topic of young catchers here because I got a couple more that I really liked. And Drew, I know you saw a couple of them as well. We got Waylon Marco from Hononegah and then Isaiah Roundtree from Champaign Central. I'll start with Isaiah because he's a 29 as well. Same with Carson. First time I've seen him, and I thought it was really twitchy, really athletic. Like he was on the barrel. And what really stood out to me about him was the dude's from Champaign, right? That's over 2 hours from where we were at. Refused to leave early. I told him to leave. I said, you've caught like 4 pens, go home. And he's like, no, I want to keep catching. So stuff like that really stands out to me. And Waylon Marco was the same way. Like he lives like an hour and a half away and he also wouldn't leave. Like I tried to have him leave early and he just refused. But man, Waylon Marco as well, like I had him as one of my picks to click for the winter, and he delivered. He absolutely got better. He added noticeable strength. Like he was like physical. He was already kind of trending that way, but like the legs looked like they got bigger. The shoulders are fuller. Like he was putting in work, and you could tell. And the results showed. Like they clearly showed. Like he was backside, like juicing balls, like 101 miles an hour. I think he peaked at 101.5. It was hard lifted contact to the whole field. And man, those are just two guys that I came away really liking.
And Tyler, I know you want to get in here too, but just a little bit more on Waylon. Pete, hearing you talk and like he peaked at like 101.5 or whatever he did off the bat. Like a lot of times in these BP settings, we'll see a guy that'll flash a big number, a 98, and it's a wow, he hammers one ball, or a 101, but like it was consistently loud and consistently upper 90s, low triple digits from Waylon. Like it was one of the louder rounds I've seen in a while. And Pete, I thought you said it perfectly. Like it also wasn't just I'm cheating to the pull side and looking to lift and turn and burn. Like it was I'm letting the ball travel and I'm staying through it and I'm hammering the ball from gap to gap. I would say the majority of his hard contact was to right center, which you don't see very often, from a right-handed hitter at the high school level. Like now there is some effort. Like he is a really strong guy. It is uphill, but like man, I'm sure in a game, if you miss your spot against him or if he's, on the fastball, like he's going to make you pay. That's just another guy that now we'll need to see, play in a game, see how he handles at bats. Like, does it play as loud in game? But man, as far as a BP setting is concerned, it woke me up running the TrackMan and the BP there in the morning, and he was one of the like we had all the catchers hit first, so a lot of these guys were early and we're like, okay, this is going to be a really good event. And you said it, like he keeps getting better from the last time we had seen him. Like this was noticeably better, and I told him, I was like, man, Waylon, like we haven't talked about you enough. So shout out Waylon Marco, thank you for getting in front of us and allowing us to see the progress that you've made, because it was really noticeable.
Yeah, and I can hop back in here on both these guys. Like Hammett talking about Isaiah, it seems like he's like a really mature kid, and that was the exact vibe I got. Like watching him do defense, watching him carry himself. Like with these younger guys, like man, I could imagine it could be a little bit of an intimidating atmosphere, especially if it's like your first ever event doing anything like this. I can imagine it would maybe be a little bit overwhelming, but like. Man, watching Isaiah interact with the other catchers, waiting to come up, watch him come up and shake Gavin's hand, say, how you doing? Like, I don't know if Gavin has any prior knowledge of Isaiah with Gavin being from that area and everything, but like just watching him interact, watching his defense, another 2029 who just mature back there. And that's another kid who's only going to get better. Like he was up to a 2.15 pop time, but another guy who I liked how it all looked behind the plate, the operation, how the arm worked, the transfers, all of it. Like, really excited about Isaiah. With Waylon, you talked about the progress he made. I thought he looked even better behind the plate from when we last saw him. He was working up to a 202, and I thought the arm was lively behind the plate. Like, it was up to 80, which I believe would be second best for the event, which we'll touch on that here in a second as well. But, like, both those guys, man, really, really liked it behind the plate.
Yeah, and I was going to put even more color. Like you mentioned the arm strength for Waylon, it played with carry. But like Isaiah Roundtree, he's a 2029, and at this event, he came in 5th when it comes to average bat speed. 74 miles an hour, which is like, that's high end for a 2029. So, and then he was on the barrel and he showed feel to hit. Like I was kind of talking about with Waylon, like there's one thing when you're just turning and burning and cheating the hack attack or whatever, but like he showed feel to hit, he showed electric hand speed, and I really like the profile there.
And one thing, Tyler, you mentioned he's mature. He is a very mature like prospect in the sense of like his game IQ, but not a mature look. He's got a lot more to come physically. He's got that young look, which you want. It's not a bad thing at all. I mean, he's only a 29, but he's a young looking kid. Like he's gonna continue to get physical and stronger, and he's already averaging like that number for bat speed. Like I know it's great to know. I didn't actually know the number, Drew. I'm glad you said it. So you can cross check. Like it looked like it, and I'm glad it actually was, because he was like that thing was zooming through the zone.
Yep. And Waylon Marco was the same way. Like, he was top 3 in bat speed, average 74.8. So, bat speed is certainly something we look for when we're watching these prospects. And doesn't mean that it's the only thing. Like, you can be young and not have developed the bat speed yet, but when you do see a 29 like a Roundtree that has the bat speed, isn't maxing out to get to that bat speed, like it stands out even more.
I mean, I have more guys. I'll just keep going down the list, I guess. I got another catcher, Oscar Alexander.
Let's stay on this catcher train here.
From West Aurora, 2027. I thought he was another one that was like very twitchy, looks the part, like good looking frame, trim, athletic, loud round with like dangerous intent. Like he was like, he was trying to do damage, and you could tell. And it flashed like guyish, in my opinion. Really looks the part. 101.6 for the EV. And Drew, we were kind of like, oh, so that's why like West Aurora was so good. Like we knew they had Zach Toma, but we were like, who else do they got? And they got this kid, and he is a 2027, so he was playing up a year on varsity as an underclassman.
Yeah, Oscar Alexander. Definitely stood out to me. Like the movement patterns, the guyishness that like it does stand out when you go to walk into the box and you take a swing. Like, are you confident? Are you aggressive? He's a guy like, man, there's whippy bat speed in there. As he gets polished up, I think it's going to be really good. Like he was a guy that was a little pull heavy. Like his misses were almost foul to the pull side, but it was when it was synced up and when it was on time, it was like, okay, like that really stands out. Like he's a guy I'm excited about because I think there's way more in there. Like really, really looked the part, like you said, and defensively kind of the same way, like was not polished. But 77 from the crouch, was popping some sub twos, and man, West Aurora, we got to keep an eye on them. I know Mason Atkins was another guy that they had, but he mentioned he's I guess a stud quarterback because he was an outfielder for West Aurora, but he's actually graduating early, so he won't be playing for West Aurora this spring to go to Ball State and get into their spring practice or whatever it may be there from a football standpoint. But yeah, West Aurora had a really good season last year. They still have Zach Toma coming back. We're going to have to keep an eye on Oscar here. I'm pretty sure that was the first time we'd ever seen him. So, like, just another guy that, man, like, love that. First time we see him, thanks for coming to an event. Get in front of us. Like, now you're on our radar. We can highlight you. And really good stuff there from Oscar.
And I'll go back to the catcher one more time. But there was another 2027 catcher that might have been the biggest winner out of that position group, and Colin Ogden out of Plainfield North. We kind of joked, me and Drew kind of joked with him after he got done with his defense, because watching his arm, he was up to 83 from the crouch, which that's up there with some guys that we're going to be bringing to our pro case here next week. Like, that's pretty ridiculous arm speed back there. He's running his pop times up to 194, like, it was ridiculous, but we joked with him afterwards, like, man, like, if Sam Finn's pitching and you're catching, like, no one's running on you two. Like, I mean, the firepower there within that battery. And what's nice about Plainfield North is they also have Connor Edenberg behind the plate, another 2027 catcher. So it's always a luxury when you got multiple backstops that you can put back there and trust. So really liked him behind the plate. Looks like he impressed on both sides of the ball, so I'll let you guys touch on that as well.
I think the one thing that really stood out to me on him was just, like, he's a massive human being. Like, he's 6'4", 209. Like, he stands out, in the uniform. When I was talking to the guys before the event, like, it was like blew me away. I even mentioned it to the guys. Like, there were so many quality frames standing around, dwarfing me. And you love to see that because that's half the battle a little bit is just looking the part. And he really looks the part. Like, and then you watch him behind the plate, Tyler, and it was like electric coming out of his hand. The way it was like carrying, it was like 4 feet off the ground and holding true all the way to the bag. He's only going to impress more as it becomes more consistent with the accuracy, being on the bag every time. But the sheer tool of arm strength, like, he's got that. I think after his first throw, I was like, do you pitch too? Because that was electric coming out.
That's what I was just about to reference, because, like, he has the types of throws where you're saying, whoa. Like, it kind of makes you stop in your tracks. Like, his first one, we were like, oh, all right. Like, I'm awake now. Like,
yeah. Yeah, and I think I shouted out to the guy handling the velo, just like you know, basically was at 80 plus because okay, guns calibrated, like there's no way that wasn't. Um, and then watching him hit too, Pete, like he was a guy that was really simple. I kind of walked over as he was hitting and just loud. Like easy, loud, simple contact. Wasn't trying to do too much. And he was another guy that created a lot of bat speed. He was if I'm looking down, he was a top 10 in bat speed, averaged 73 miles an hour. So there was just a lot of things to like. And then yeah, he did hop on the mound. I'm not sure who saw him on the mound, but really impressed as a position guy. Looks like he was up to 86 on the mound as well. So, but looking at his offensive numbers too, like he was a 101.8 exit velo, 364 max distance. So average 90.8 off the bat. So did a lot of things well.
Sticking on the topic of loud physical rounds, Evan Jenks from Manuka, a 2027, led the entire event in EV with 102.5. And he also led the event in 60 time with a 704. It was just really, really easy power, like long levered kid, uses the levers really well and was like naturally lifting the baseball. Big power upside with him, and it was just really loud all around. One of my favorites from the day.
I think he might have been second in average bat speed as well there, Pete, to kind of go with
wouldn't
that
surprise me.
velo and all that. I'm going to get in on it. I know we just talked about Colin Ogden from Plainfield North 2027, but I'm keeping my eye on Joe Valenza, left-handed hitter from Plainfield North, another guy that really looked the part in the uniform. Like when I saw him, he struck me as like kind of a younger looking face, and then he had wide shoulders. Kind of a frame that I could see getting really physical down the road. Nowhere near like tapped out to what he's going to be. And then it was a really fluid, easy swing. Just a guy that I think his best years are still ahead from an offensive standpoint. And then another left-handed hitter that stood out to me. Talk about these guys coming from, Champaign up to the event. Hananega with Waylon Marco. Like Drew Kirby coming from Paris, Illinois, plays for Creighton Tar down there. I've long history with Creighton, working some old EIU camps. Shout out Creighton Tar, one of the best in the business. Those baseball players at Paris are lucky to have him kind of running the show. But Drew Kirby made his way up there, left-handed hitter, athletic frame, really looked the part in the box. I think his best years are yet to come as well. Really, really interesting, smaller town guy that's going to be on our radar just kind of moving forward. Looking forward to see the progress he makes down the road.
Yeah, and similarly, Drew, he was like I think the first or second guy that popped on my mound. The velo is not going to blow you away at the moment, but just the way that he moved, like you're saying, he's an athletic kid, he's an athlete. Like it looks that way on the mound, where the velo doesn't really matter right now. It wouldn't surprise me if he puts in work, he gains strength, then in a few years he's mid upper 80s or something. So interesting on the mound as well.
Two other solid follows I thought that I kind of got eyes on throughout the day were Ryan and Ty Lotus. Ty being a 2029, they both go to St. Lawrence. Ty swings the bat right-handed. Ryan swings the bat left-handed. Just two solid follows from the day. And then, Gav, I'm going to throw it right back to you because on your mound, I didn't see all the arms on the day, but this by far was my favorite, was Easton McBroom from Newark, a 2028. So I don't know what you have to just kind of mention things that jumped off the page of you, but I definitely have some color I'd love to add as well.
I think it's kind of the same. I think you said it, but Easton McBroom, Newark, 2028. But I think it's kind of the same as what I was saying with Nick Lozano, like the arm, it's just very loose and quick. And guys at that age, aside from the velo, like you can just tell, like if they move that way and their arm's that quick, likely in the future there's a lot to project on velo wise. So that's number one with him. But number two, he threw 5 pitches, and I think at that age it's really tough to throw that many pitches and actually have the ability to throw them for strikes or actually understand, like, hey, if I'm throwing this pitch, like, this is what it's going to do. But he had polish with all of those pitches. He threw strikes with them, and he threw both like a changeup and splitter. Both pretty good pitches. His curveball and slider were pretty good, and then the fastball just comes out clean. So those were like the two things to me that really stood out with him. And he's just a guy that you can kind of dream on that is only going to get better.
So, Gav, you mentioned him, throwing 5 pitches. And I hear that, at a showcase, I'd probably typically be cringing. And to anybody out there that throws 5 pitches, like, more power to you. But really, it's, at the high school level, especially a young guy, a 2028, like, man, let's perfect or let's master like 2 pitches first. Let's master 3 pitches first before you start, throwing 5. But hey, Easton, like, huge credit to you. Gavin, you touched on it. Like, he does throw 5 legit pitches. And what I like about him is they all have different pitch profiles to them. Typically when you see a guy throwing 5 pitches, 3 of them look the exact same. Every single pitch he threw did do different, had different action. And his splitter, he said he's just kind of started learning it. Like, man, this thing had tumble. It, like, he killed the spin on it. Like, it was a true, like, potential out pitch if he can just continue to get used to throwing it. Like, he's having to dig in the glove before he throws it to get the right grip. So that's going to be, a challenge when he's pitching in a game. He's going to probably have to start with that grip. He's going to have to, mess with the ball to make sure he's not giving it away. Like, there's a lot of challenges there. But the actual arm action and the action on the pitch were really good. I don't typically see great splitters out of high school guys, but he was only up to 81.2, and I'm like, I'm all in on this guy. Like, I think the velo's only going to climb. It looks like last year he was in the mid to upper 70s. Like, I'm not worried about, like, that's gonna only get better. Like, the kid can flat pitch. He blew me away with the slider. Threw it extremely aggressively and with all kinds of arm speed, and he threw it at 74 miles an hour. Like, his fastball's topping at 81 right now. He's throwing his slider at 74. The differential there is, like, really not much, 7 miles an hour, which is another indicator of, like, okay, a guy that can spin the breaking ball firm is going to throw hard down the road. And then he also had feel for it. He was spinning it at 2,300 plus, and, like, the action was... Man, I don't see too many 2028 spinning a breaking ball like this. Like, he was missing a couple arm side where the arm was behind, dragging a little bit, getting underneath. We make a point like, hey, try to throw one to the glove side this time. And, like, he couldn't have dotted it any better. Like, showing that he's almost coachable, able to take one little tip and, like, make an adjustment on the fly in that setting. I am super bullish on Easton McBroom, like, Newark High School, smaller high school, same high school as Joe Martin. He was a 2023 who ended up pitching. He's at SIU Edwardsville right now, having a good career down there. But, that was not a guy that was the first time we had seen him, but that was a guy that came back, got in front of us, and showed the improvements that he has made. So sorry for the long-winded speech, but, like, the better players and the better players we see, they give us more to talk about, more to highlight, and he gave us all kinds of stuff. I love, like, he just oozed, like, low pulse, really poised look on the mound and very mature for his age.
I got one more guy I want to talk about. We mentioned Waylon Marco and Roundtree sticking around to catch pens. I want to shout out Nate Kaminsky. Not only as a prospect, like, athletic left-handed hitter, he can run, took a good round of BP, but he was the last hitter of the day, and, like, no complaints. And even, like, when we were getting him ready, like, we had a tech issue, and he had to wait an additional, like, 10 minutes. He basically got iced. And, like, on top of all that, steps right in, takes a great round. Like, did not get phased at all. So I just wanted to shout him out for that. For number one, being patient with us, and then number two, actually producing when his time actually came.
I mean, also up to 87 from the outfield, ran a 7.11. Like, there's a lot to like there. You got to love all the left-handed hitters as well. So
he's been sub-7 in the past as well, so I know he can run.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, some tracks are a little different. Like, I think in Rantoul, when we run the Illinois State games, like, that track seems a little quick. Some indoor tracks can vary on just how much give is in the turf. So, like, yes, you take some stock into the 60, but it should just kind of be an indicator. And that's why we go see these guys play. Like, let's see what your home to first is, because that's what it tells you how fast you can run in a straight line. A guy that runs a 6.4, like, we're going to take notice of that. But, like, okay, what are you running in game if you're running a 6.4? Like, you better be running a 4.1 down the line. Like, it better play on the field.
And one more arm, just want to quickly touch on, is Zach Westerberg from Lincoln Way East, uncommitted 2027, just a bigger frame, strong kid, led the event in fastball velo. I think he was up to 86.9, so we can round that up to 87, but just had to shout him out there too.
And Drew might be going here, but I know we've touched on it a bunch the last few months, but Man, Lincoln Way East got a ton of talent going through that school right now, in all classes it seems as well. So just wanted to throw that out there.
No, absolutely. Just add another name to the list. And we maybe haven't even shouted them out, but it's just like they just don't stop. They're coming out of the woodworks. And, one thing I just wanted to shout out too is like, we mentioned, I don't know, maybe 10 guys, but there's all kinds of guys that maybe we didn't mention. Like, stay tuned to the quick hits that will roll out, our actual written content from the event with stat stories, data stories, highlighting all kinds of players. And, here in the near future, we'll be rolling out scouting reports on each and every one of these players and taking a look at some of the top position guys, top pitchers, and we'll do that for every preseason event this winter. And if you listen to this podcast and you haven't signed up for an event, a preseason ID, it doesn't matter what event you come to, get in front of us so that we can get a look at you. Like, a lot of these guys, man, we didn't have a ton on these guys before this event, and they have emerged and they have put themselves on the map as guys to know. And as we're figuring out, hey, what games are we going to watch this spring? You better believe we're going to need to go check in on Plainfield North now. We're going to have to get a look at Hananega and see how Waylon Marco can swing it in game. I'm probably going to want to go watch Easton McBroom start a game at Newark. There's still plenty of time to sign up for all of our preseason IDs. And what a great way to kick off the winter season here with so many follows from that first event. It's still only January.